lenders' jobs are about to get a little easier. Now, if I said everyone that loves Dodd-Frank, raise your hand. How many hands, RC, not you, put your hand down. How many hands do you think you would be raised in the RE-Source Nation and really in the entire lending and real estate world? Probably not many. You'd see a few. Heck, my buddy Ken Perry might. He's a master of continued education and he owns and operates the Knowledge Coop, but not many. Well, what if I said that we have an early look at the new Dodd-Frank and what it's going to look like? We do, and we'll get to that in a minute. And I think we're pretty early on this. I haven't seen this in the interwebs much. Well, here it is, and we will post the link down below in the chat log. Obviously, this isn't finalized yet, and tweaks and changes will be made, but the new Dodd-Frank may be called the Financial Choice Act. We will get to the highlights shortly, but first, do you think this is really going to happen? Well, Trump and Pence talked about it during their campaign, and now that they're in office, they continue to push for reform. And love him or hate him, the first weekend of the job, Trump's done what he said he was going to do with executive orders and immigration, energy, trade, health, even some changes in our industry. Now, let's not make this about politics, but if I had to bet money, I'm gonna bet that this thing gets done with Dodd-Frank. Pence spoke about it again last week, and here's the video to that.
And it means dismantling Dodd-Frank's financial laws, overbearing mandates so that well-capitalized, well-regulated banks can meet the needs of small business, which is the engine of American job creation.
Now, the president and the vice president talked about their plans on this, and then the House Financial Service Committee Chairman Jeb Hensarling spoke more specifically about this, referencing the Financial Choice Act, which he believes will end taxpayer-funded bailouts of large financial institutions, relieve banks that elect to be strongly capitalized from growth-strangling regulation that slows the economy and harms consumers, and impose tougher penalties on those who commit fraud, as well as greater accountability on Washington regulators. Interesting. Also stating, no bureaucrat in Washington should be able to tell a hardworking American what kind of credit card or bank account or mortgage or retirement advice they can have, but that's exactly what Dodd-Frank does. As the president and vice president have said, Dodd-Frank makes it harder for people to get loans to buy a home or start a small business. Consumers are paying even more in fees and are losing benefits and access to services they badly want and need. Now, that last part is very, very true, and it's been well documented, and we've covered it several times on our show. And these guys aren't joking either. They plan to put it in Congress and work to get it passed this year. So what does the new Dodd-Frank look like? Well, here we go. They talk about an off-ramp from Dodd-Frank and liquidity standards for banks, some stress test language for banks, removing the too big to fail language that bails out banks, and then lots of repeal this and repeal that. They want to change the name of the CFPB to CFOC. What? It's the Consumer Financial Opportunity Commission. Also, they want to make major changes to the CFPB's leadership structure, mainly replacing the current single director setup with the bipartisan 5-member commission, which makes sense to me. Not sure if the name change is needed though, but whatever. They want to repeal the CFPB's authority to ban bank products it deems abusive, and repeal several regulations that prevent lenders from making mortgages to hardworking Americans. They don't go into the specifics on that though, probably still working out the deets, as the kid would say. Which is details. Mom. Now, the first proposal was introduced in June of 2016, but they continue to work on it. I just hope, again, they don't assume that they know what's right for our industry. The previous regime made that mistake, and I sadly can see this regime making that same mistake. I just hope the NBA, the NMBA, and NAR can get in their ear and help them make good, solid, necessary changes before they roll this thing out. Replacing Dodd-Frank with another problem child act isn't a win in my book. What are the changes you guys hope to see though, both in lending and in real estate? Give us your top choice or maybe a few down below, and we'll see you guys next week.